In the heart of the African savanna, a massive lioness stood over two tiny, trembling bundles of spotted fur, her golden eyes filled with something no one had ever seen before: mercy. The baby deer couldn't have been more than a week old, their legs barely able to support them, crying out for a mother who would never answer again. Her body lay just meters away, fallen to the very thing that would later threaten her killers: hyenas. The lioness circled the infants, and every ranger watching through binoculars held their breath, waiting for nature to take its cruelest course. But then something extraordinary happened. The massive lioness lowered her head and gently nuzzled the fawns. And in that moment, a predator became a mother. Have you ever witnessed something so impossible that it changed everything you believed about the world? The rangers couldn't explain it. Lionesses don't adopt. They certainly don't adopt prey. But this lioness named Zara seemed to understand that these orphaned babies were just like her own cubs she'd lost months earlier. Alone, abandoned, fighting to survive. It started on a morning that seemed like any other. Wildlife ranger Michael Patterson had been tracking Zara's pride through the Serengeti when he heard something that made his blood run cold. Not the typical sounds of the savannah, but desperate, heartbreaking cries that pierced through the morning air. He moved carefully through the tall grass. What he found shattered him. A mother deer lay motionless near a watering hole. Wild hyenas had attacked in the night, and huddled beside her cooling body were two newborn fawns. They were crying, trying desperately to nurse from their mother, not understanding that she would never move again. Michael reached for his radio. These fawns had no chance of survival. Orphaned this young. They couldn't feed themselves, couldn't escape predators, couldn't even regulate their body temperature. Within hours, they'd become prey. But before he could make the call, he saw movement through his binoculars. Zara emerged from the brush, drawn by the fawn's distressed cries. Michael's finger hovered over his radio. He was certain he was about to witness a kill. But here's what nobody expected that morning. Zara didn't attack. She moved forward slowly, deliberately, her massive head lowering until it was level with the tiny fawns. The babies, driven by pure desperation, actually nuzzled against her warm fur, seeking comfort, and Zara let them. Michael stood frozen, unable to process what he was witnessing. The lioness began grooming the fawns with her rough tongue, the same way she would groom her own cubs. She was treating prey like family. Can you imagine seeing something that defies every law of nature you've ever learned? For 3 days, Michael documented what scientists would later call impossible. Zara led the fawns to sheltered spots during the hottest hours. Her massive body created shade for their delicate skin. She allowed them to nestle against her, seeking the warmth and comfort of a mother. Most incredibly, she let them try to nurse, even though she had no milk to give. The physical contact seemed to calm their panic. Word spread quickly through the wildlife community. Dr. Jennifer Morrison, a behavioral specialist from Nairobi, arrived expecting to find either dead fawns or a lioness who had simply postponed a meal. What she discovered challenged everything she'd learned in 20 years of research. "This is unprecedented," she whispered to Michael as they watched Zara gently nudge one fawn away from thorny bushes. "Lions don't adopt prey animals. It goes against every evolutionary instinct." But nature had more surprises in store. On the 4th day, something miraculous happened. Zara began producing milk. Her maternal instincts, triggered by the constant presence of the fawns, had caused lactation despite not giving birth recently. The fawns, whom Michael had named Hope and Grace, latched on eagerly. Their tiny tails wagged with pure joy as they finally received the nourishment they desperately needed. The wildlife community erupted. Videos of the unlikely family spread worldwide, touching hearts everywhere. Scientists flew in from around the globe to study this phenomenon, but not everyone was pleased with the attention. Local poacher Daniel Crawford had been tracking Zara's pride for weeks. He planned to capture her for illegal wildlife trafficking. The sudden media attention threatened to expose his operation and cost him thousands of dollars. Furious, he decided to eliminate the problem permanently. On a moonless night, Crawford crept toward the pride's resting area with a high-powered rifle and tranquilizer darts. His plan was simple: kill the fawns to remove media attention, then capture Zara while she was vulnerable. But Crawford had underestimated the power of a mother's love. As he raised his weapon, targeting Hope as she slept against Zara's side, the lioness's eyes snapped open. In the darkness, her golden gaze locked onto the threat. She had sensed danger from hundreds of yards away. Would you risk everything to protect the ones you love? What happened next was swift and absolute. Zara rose like a golden shadow, every muscle in her 350-pound frame coiled for destruction. Her roar shattered the night silence, a sound so primal it seemed to shake the earth itself. Crawford's hands trembled as he tried to aim. The lioness charged with the fury of every mother who had ever defended her young. He fired wildly, missing completely, before dropping his rifle and running for his life. But there was nowhere to hide on the open savanna, and Zara was built for exactly this kind of hunt. Park rangers, alerted by the commotion, arrived to find Crawford trapped in a tree, Zara circling below with her fawns safely behind her. The poacher was crying and begging for rescue. He faced justice for his crimes. His equipment revealed evidence of an extensive trafficking network that authorities had been hunting for years. Crawford received a 15-year prison sentence. His arrest led to the dismantling of one of East Africa's largest poaching operations. Dozens of animals were saved. Have you ever seen love become a weapon? Hope and Grace grew strong and healthy under Zara's devoted care. They learned to forage for vegetation while maintaining their incredible bond with their lioness mother. They became symbols of resilience and the power of love to transcend all boundaries. Michael continued documenting their story. Dr. Morrison published groundbreaking research on cross-species maternal behavior. The scientific community was forced to reconsider what they thought they knew about predator instincts. Even now, years later, rangers report seeing something unusual in the Serengeti. A lioness hunting alongside her pride, but always returning to two full-grown deer who graze nearby. The deer show no fear. The lions show no aggression. Zara still grooms Hope and Grace when they meet at the watering hole. Still positions her body protectively when other predators approach. Still treats them like the cubs she saved all those years ago. Are you crying yet? Because Michael was when he witnessed their most recent reunion. Because Dr. Morrison tears up every time she reviews the footage. This story proves that families aren't just about blood or species. It's about who shows up when the world says you're alone. It's about who protects you when you're helpless. It's about who teaches you to survive even when everything says you shouldn't exist. If this story touched your heart, hit that like button and subscribe for more incredible true stories of survival and love. Share this with someone who needs to remember that family is everything. Because sometimes the fiercest predators have the gentlest hearts.